There is a popular image, a trope, of the young man who leaves his hometown and family to go to war. But the young man never comes back, and his family is told he died in heroic circumstances, fighting for his homeland and the values it represents. And then there's the reality of families who lost a son, brother, or father, and who never managed to find out any details about the circumstances of his death. Most soldiers in war do die in combat, perhaps instantly killed by a bullet during a historic battle, or perhaps horribly maimed by some faceless shell or mine during another boring day in the mud on a secondary and unheard of front. And then there are those who die in a car accident, by suicide, by friendly fire, by disease, or by some other twist of fate that seems so unexpected in a war zone. This is the example of a 22-year-old World War II US Army soldier named Francisco Soto, whose death I found 2 newspaper articles about. The articles are in Spanish because Soto was in fact a Colombian national. The articles explain that Soto was the son of the former consul of Colombia in New York. He had attended the American school in Bogota, where he was noticed for his intelligence, and had served in the honor guard of the presidential palace in Bogota as a sub-lieutenant. In 1938, he went to the US with his sisters and his American mother to study engineering. After obtaining a degree in radio and electric engineering in 1943, he volunteered to join the US Army. He volunteered for the paratroopers, and the family received their last letter from him, dated 12 May 1944, stating he was ready to be shipped to the front. The next news the family received was in the form of a telegram that stated, "Secretary of War, ask that I assure you of deep sympathy in the loss of your son, Technician 4th Grade Francisco Soto. Report received stated he died 29 May in North African area." Based on this telegram, one newspaper article was titled, "The Colombian paratrooper died in the Battle of Rome." I now quote a few passages from the articles. On May 29th, while the armies of the United Nations opened a path towards Rome in one of the most striking offensives of the war, a gallant Colombian soldier incorporated into the US Army gave his life fighting for freedom. On one of the European fronts, a distinguished young Colombian, 22 years of age and only son of a distinguished Bogotan home, has just died in action as a member of the paratroopers fighting for democracy. One article concluded, "It is considered very likely that the national government will award a posthumous decoration to the Colombian soldier who gave his life on the battlefront." You can imagine how Soto's childhood friends in Bogota must have felt reading these articles about his death in faraway Europe in the name of freedom. But what had actually happened to Francisco Soto? A quick online check is enough to realize the information in the Colombian newspaper articles does not add up. Soto's serial number starts with a 3. This indicates that he was not a volunteer, but a draftee. His cause of death is not listed by the National Archives as killed in action, but as DNB, which stands for died non-battle. In other words, Soto had not been killed in action. And indeed, the US Army telegram received by the family had stated Soto had died. There was no mention of being killed in action. Further research shows that Francisco Soto was serving in the US Army as a member of the 460th Parachute Field Artillery Battalion. In early May 1944, the unit boarded a ship named Cristobal and headed towards Europe. The unit history and witnesses from the 460th Artillery explained that during the crossing, Soto and another soldier, after interacting with members of the ship's crew, drank torpedo juice with them. What was torpedo juice? It consisted of denatured and poisonous alcohol, which after being treated by various methods and mixed with juice, was drunk as an alcoholic beverage. While the ship's perhaps seasoned crew members survived, Soto and his fellow paratrooper died shortly after drinking the torpedo cocktail. Soto's medical records confirm this version of events, indicating his cause of death as injury non-battle, causative agent, alcohol denatured, alcohol extracts. Soto had in fact never reached Europe and had never been in combat. There had been no Battle of Rome and no life given for freedom and democracy. Soto died stupidly at sea from drinking poisonous alcohol. Some of you may feel I am trying to make fun of this soldier. I am not. Having a foreign nationality and being the son of a former consul, Soto could almost certainly have wiggled his way out of being drafted into the US Army. Instead, he volunteered for the paratroopers, one of the most dangerous branches of the Army, which was heroic. But then he died uselessly doing something stupid. But who has never done anything stupid in their life? I know I have done many stupid things, and I'm sure you have too. No, my point is not to make fun of this soldier's death. It is to underline how true the expression is. The first casualty in war is the truth. Remember all the war stories you have vaguely heard of in your life without verifying them and cross-checking them. How many of them really are true? How many of them got deformed over time? How many of them were purposefully exaggerated? How many of them are blatant lies? Why did the Colombian newspapers feel the need to invent the details about Soto dying in combat in Italy, when in fact the US Army telegram only mentioned that Soto had died in the North African area? Did they make wrong assumptions? Was it a deliberate propaganda attempt from a country that had joined the Allied cause since November 1943? Whatever the reason, the articles are not truthful. They do not constitute information, but disinformation. So to conclude, remember that truth is fragile, particularly in the context of the fog of war, and particularly in the face of powerful propagandists who want the public to believe that war is a glorious adventure.